everybody. You are listening to podcast about architecture called How I Met My Architect. Usually this podcast is in Slovak language, but right now when I'm in Barcelona for 2 months, it's a pleasure to make some episodes with some Catalan architects. And today is very special for me also that I can bring another episode. And today's guest is Javier Majó from Harquitectes. Hi, Javier.
Hello.
Kvalitná architektúra sa nezaobíde bez kvalitného stavebného materiálu. Všetko pre vašu stavbu a tento podcast vám prináša Wienerberger.
Let's start very smoothly. Before we will talk about the Harquitectes and your studio, I remember that you visited also Slovakia 2 times. You have been also in Bratislava, a lecture in Bratislava, and also in Košice on Klubovka. So do you remember some impression from those cities? Because the Košice city are the same size in terms of population than Sabadell. Like the city where you have the office, like 250,000 people.
I remember a very beautiful and very special center in Košice. It's a strange shape. I don't remember exactly which shape, a kind of ellipse or something like that. Very, no? Am I right? Yeah, with a church or something like that in the middle. I don't know because I was there just for one morning or half morning, so just 2 hours to walk in the center. And in Bratislava, I went there for 1 day and a half, always a very short trip. It surprised me because it's a small city, in a way,
Which one? Bratislava?
Bratislava.
Yeah, it's 500,000 people.
yeah, but I don't know, the center, kind of small scale, everything very close, but again, it was a very short experience. And I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember a very strange sculptors growing up from, I don't know, the sewer.
Yes, exactly.
It's in Bratislava, eh?
Yeah, it is. It's very like touristic attraction.
I was a tourist. Yeah, I remember that. No, but I mainly remember the people. I mean, Stefan and Tatiana and everybody around, because in both cases, they invited us, and I met them for the 2 times, so they were very nice people.
Okay, so let's move on back to the Sabadell, which is the city close to the Barcelona, half an hour by train, and this is the city where Harquitectes are located. So please try to describe your studio and work like very shortly, and we will continue afterwards.
Well, it's easy, but it's difficult. So we are now 20 or 22 people, mainly architects, some students of the latest years of the school. We started in around 2000, but 5 years before, 1995, as students, 3 of us start working together in a very small place of my grandmother, just a former shop of 20 square meters close to where we are. We started there doing our school projects and some competitions that we never won. And in around 2000, the 4 partner David came with just 2-3 commissions, small houses and so on. And we decided to create an office together, all 4. And year after year, the size of the office get enlarged. We started with 6 people, a lot of years, 10, 12, and last 4 or 5 years, around between 15 and 20, 22, which is our maximum, because I think that the 4 partners, 3 of us are leading projects, and the 4th is doing kind of management in the office. So which is David don't lead the projects. He's involved in all of them in relation with the clients and these kind of things. But what we are trying to keep is one of us is deep involved in each project. leading the team involved in this project. And we cannot, well, I think that we will not grow up, or we will not be much more people than this, because it's not easy to control 8 or 10 people if you want to be inside the project. If you work as a teacher, no, 1 time per week, yeah, it's okay or not. But we are, you've seen our office, very small office, so everybody's working in the same place, so we know what is happening. And one particular thing in our office is that, we design here in the studio, but then 1 time per week or something like that, depending on the rhythm of the construction, we visit the site of the construction, controlling what is happening there and changing the design if necessary. So we are very involved also in the construction. And
I totally understand, but I think it's quite tough for you, because your studio is getting a little bit like more famous, because you were very successful also in Mies van der Rohe award. There is also El Croquis magazine about your studio, so you are quite well known around Europe. So you are also doing lectures. So this is something which makes you very busy, or it will make you more busy in the future. In terms of your schedule, that you won't be present in the office.
And also we teach. 3 of us are teaching usually in the schools from Barcelona, the small one and the biggest one. But for the last 2 years, Rohe was teaching in Zurich. That means that not each week, but 2 times per month, he spent 2 or 3 days teaching there. And then we have lectures, and then we want to stay in the office. So, but the thing is that after 25 years working together, we have architects working with us. We have Montse working with us for 17 years, Maya for 10 or 11. Then we have 4, 5 or 6 architects that have been working with us 6, 7, 8 years. So we are trying to keep the people for the maximum amounts of years. So then we can, we are not totally necessary being in the office, because we have very good people that have been working with us for a long time that can manage what is daily happening here. So,
but when you were talking about the projects, do you have like it strictly divided, or sometimes like 3 of you, the 3 of bosses are like coming together and thinking together about some project?
When we were a smaller office, when we were 6, 7, 8 people, we were very involved. So it was easy to know what was happening in the office, and we worked a lot together, 2 partners or 3 partners, depending on the project. So, and we were working close in the office, no? Now, so we know a lot each other, and now we don't need to discuss a lot to do the right thing in terms of architecture. We don't. It's always interesting to have and to share opinions and discussions, so it's very important, but we are always in the same direction. So, and what we are doing now, and I think that we started doing that during the pandemics for the last 3 or 4 years. It's Friday, so we work every day here in the office, everybody involved in our own teams, our projects. But then on Friday, we select, nobody works theoretically, and we select 1 or 2 projects that are under development in the office. And then we hang all the drawings and models and then renders and so on. And we do a kind of brainstorming where the people that is working in this project works on Friday afternoon, and the partners and the Montse and Maya. So we are around 8 or 10 people discussing 2 projects altogether. So it doesn't matter if it's a building under construction or it's a competition. So Friday afternoon, it's the best way to share what is happening in the office. But the daily situation, it's more casual. So we never plan meetings we had with the partners. We met when we have lunch or with some spontaneous discussions in the office, but it's very random, so it's not planned. So I think that all of us know what is happening and can give opinion on that.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your design approach, because I was reading that you are trying to avoid repeating and always try to invent something new, which is quite common for architects. But what does it mean especially for you?
Well, I think that it is important to understand that when we became architects between 1998 and 2000, here it was easy to create an office of architecture because there were a lot of work. So it was easy to have small or bigger commissions. And we started it with very small commissions, but with projects that were almost all of them built. So after the school, we started building very fast. And till today, we are always building. I mean, this is our second school, so our approach, I think that changed a lot when we started constructing our projects, and we changed our mind. And at a certain moment, before it was more not fashion, but we had a strong crisis in Spain in 2007, 8, 10. And it was necessary to deal with the cost of the buildings, the efficiency in terms of sustainability, of energy. So we started before thinking about sustainability and this kind of strategies in the project, not from the very beginning, at the very early stage of a project. So it was easy for us to deal with this situation of crisis. It was natural. And I think that after that, till 10, 15, we continued still having always private homes to develop a kind of laboratory to discover new things and to investigate kind of inventions, more or less. But we won several competitions, 1 or 2 per year, for bigger buildings, public ones. So we have this duality of private homes as a way to investigate and to grow up a lot, understanding how to convince a client, which is very important. And it's very difficult to convince a client that is doing that, who is doing their own house. So it's very difficult to manage. It's a very stressful situation, so it's not easy. So, but we learn a lot doing that. But on the other hand, we have public commissions in Barcelona, but around our area. And I think that till today we have a very good balance between small private, now mid-size private, but also public. So we have a lot of different kind of clients, and it means that we have different kind of projects. I think that we are not expecting to create something new, always doing kind of inventions. It's just what it happens is that our moment in time is different, but also the conditions are always different because the client is different, the plot is different, the regulation is different, so it's always different. So, and different situation creates a different answer, a different building. So it's.
And after the crisis, you started to think more about the sustainability and ecology. I was also reading in El Croquis that you prefer do this ecology through architecture form, then use some active system.
Yeah. Well, because a passive system, it's more close to, let's say, architectural decisions, no? Because if you, I don't know, if you are a very good designer, a very good architect, and you create your own, I don't know, a house, no? In terms of space and material and whatever, and then you can add machines to improve the temperature of the air, for example. But they are a bit out of architecture, and they create kind of artificial comfort. So we don't like this artificial comfort that goes on the opposite way than the seasons, but we are only interested, so we are not interested in sustainability. We are interested in architecture that creates the best atmospheres to live. Then, I don't know, if we work with a very high space, we have the certification of the air. And if we open a window on top, we are renovating the air of the whole space. So we have a space that helps the temperature inside and creates a more natural comfort. So, and it's related to the speciality, no? We have a higher space. Or we use brick, for example, or concrete. And it's okay, it's a structure, but it's working also for its inertia. So it's always a kind of total architecture where everything is working in the same direction, also the sustainability. But the light and the matter and the way of using it, so everything is working in the same direction, and it's not interesting or possible to separate sustainability, materiality, space, light, use. So everything is the same.
So you quite often use chimney effect? Can we call it like that?
Well, here in the Mediterranean coast where we work, in Catalonia, to work with, let's say, chimneys, it's good to create natural ventilation. And then we usually have kind of spaces in between or windows or openings with a lot of layers. And if we work with these more flexible elements that are stopping the sunrises or when they're open, catching the sunrises, but it's adaptable. We have mass inside and we have kind of natural ventilation. It's almost done. Then you need to think about which is the not passive system, the active system that you need, because sometimes we don't have sun or something like that. So depending on the problems we have, or we created different solutions. Sometimes, I don't know, we completed a house recently with an entrance that is the living room that has, I think that 11 meters height. And of course, it's a machine to renovate the air, and we have light on top, natural light, and we have windows on top. So it's a chimney, as you were saying, and it's a very blind facade. So we started, and the starting point was how to create a buffer to separate the noise that we have in the street and the rooms of the house. So we create this kind of atrium that is the tool to manage the air of the house. And you get inside and you face kind of 4 or 5 stories house, and you have kind of inner facade, and you have the staircase that is around the main space of each floor. So it's a kind of performance. It's very special. And then it's a place to stay, it's a place for parties, and it's the place to rest, but still is the place to create good conditions of comfort. And not only in terms of climate, also in terms of acoustics. So in general, there are a lot of strategies that are mixed to create a very specific space or building.
Let me say some specific example from your projects when we are talking these thermodynamic effects and chimney effects and everything. Your project winery next to the church, which has like a quite complicated 5-layer walls with the small pool above, and you are working with the moon and daily sun, and this is like a very complicated, and at the end it works well apparently. But let me ask you, who is inventing these unique solutions, because it's really tough to come up with this idea.
Yeah, but the main concept is very simple. It's about mass and about height. So create a very big hole, 10 meters high or something like that, and then we have a lot of mass. So this is the principle. And the challenge was, so you know that the tanks that we had in the middle of this space have a system to change and to control the temperature. So it's not necessary to create good condition to the space, because they have machines to create the precise temperature that they need. But imagine that you put them in a space of, I don't know, 15 degrees or something like that, no? And you need 21. So you need to create artificially the 6 degrees of difference. And the opposite, if you are at 32 and you need 21, you need to refresh a lot, no? So the challenge or the idea was to create a shelter that provides the best and more equal temperature for the whole year. And we decided to work with this big hole, with these multi-layered walls. And the thing is that the air, when it's in the bottom, it goes up, because when the temperature gets high, the air goes up. And when it starts touching the ceiling, there we added a lot of walls. So it means a lot of surface touching the warm air. And then it gets, and we did simulations and so on with engineers and architects that has the knowledge and the software to create simulations. And we discovered that when the air arrives to the ceiling and the temperature goes down, it don't fall down vertically. It softly moved to one side and the other. And there is where we decided to put a very, very thin ceramic layer of 2 tiles, and means less than 10 centimeters, with water on top. And then the water is fresh, so the air is refreshed thanks to the ceramic that is touching the water. I'm talking about horizontal plan. And then it softly goes from right and left, and it goes down with these spaces, with these air chambers that we have with the different layers. And going down, touching the brick, it gets more refreshed. And finally, the circuit ends again in the ground level. So the air goes up warm and gets down cool. And it's a never-ending cycle.
But this all sounds that you usually came up with the solution in collaboration with the technical engineers. And in which phase are you involving those to the project?
We started working with these advisors that are architects, not engineers. So the engineers calculates the numbers. What do we need?
When you want to solve the project with the architectural form and try to avoid the technical systems, this is needed from the beginning, right?
Yeah. As I was saying, around 2010, when we started doing competitions for public buildings, we used to work since the beginning with very special advisors that were, I think, that architects that had the knowledge and the software, and it's an office that it works only in sustainability and now. So we started working with them, and nobody knows them. And we sit in the same table, and in the first meeting of the competition, and then they propose it very, not naive ideas, but very sophisticated of the ideas of, how to put a strategy to reduce the energy consumption or to create a natural comfort and blah, blah, blah. And around 2010, we work with them from the beginning during the whole project, and they made simulations and proposals and blah, blah, blah. But we made the decisions usually. And now, last, 8-10 years, sometimes they are not, we didn't work together till the beginning because we have the knowledge and experience. So sometimes we prefer for a competition, sometimes we work alone, and they do always only the simulations and so on. So it's a bit different because we have a lot of experience and we are working around the same principles in all the projects. And then for the competitions or for the big buildings, we work, or we need them to simulate our theories in a way. But for small commissions, private houses or whatever, we never work with them. And we test a lot of solutions. So now it's a mixture. But before, they were involved in the first meetings of the competition.
And let me ask you, how much time in general you spent with the concept phase of the project? Because I'm asking because we are very often in a time push and everything needs to be fast, but we know that the beginning is very important. So how much time do you spend with the concept phase?
We always go very, very slow. And year after year, I think that we spend more and more hours for each phase of the project. But I don't know, for a private house or for another usual project, we could spend, 3 months minimum. So we spend a lot of hours and meetings before deciding to start the project with the client or something. So we spend a lot of time to know each other and to decide, not only them, but us, if it makes sense to work together with this client, and this is very important. But after deciding to work in a project, I think that the minimum it's around 2-3 months before the first meeting to present the project. Then, depending on the moment, 6 months for the second phase. Usually one project is 1 year. If we start and we complete the construction, it could be from 2.5 years till 3.5. This is if nothing strange happens. If it's more than this, 5-6 years for a private house means that at certain moment we stopped for outside reasons.
Yeah.
So for a public building, 5 years could be a good rhythm.
What about the money? What is the percentage, what is the share of the architect from the budget?
In our case, it's not about a percentage. It's about the time that we are going to spend based on our experience. So I don't know. If we start a project for a private house of 250 square meters, we look at projects similar than this, and we decide we will spend 3 years not working full on that, but it means that we will spend 3,000 hours, and this is our fees are, yeah. But for, I don't know so much, but probably between 5% and 10% could be around that. But I'm not sure because I never managed this kind of interesting problems.
Because sometimes we are struggling with that because sometimes we are going below the bar, which is not good because you will underestimate it a little bit. You will take 3 or 4 and you will spend more time with that, and that could be not efficient, like in general.
Well, here I think that we don't receive the money that it is necessary to pay everything around our work, because I don't know if I told you that for a private small house we will spend 3 years. Nobody can pay the cost of two architects working for 3 years. Then it's a balance between having big commissions. Big commissions for us are from 3,000 till 15,000, but usually 3,000 square meters. This is a big commission for us in our office, so it's not very big. But around these numbers, we used to have a good balance to support the small private houses. And then we have a big commission for a lot of apartments, that it means a kind of repetition of the solutions. Then we have a lot of money to support all the losses around the other projects. So yeah, and we are not. This is, for us, it's not a business. Of course, we live thanks to this. This not a business, but usually we put always architecture first. It means that everything involved in the decisions are to guarantee the successful architecture. It means that if we have a problem, we put more people if it's a solution. And if we start losing money, but we have a problem, and more people means to create a better frame to guarantee the best solution in terms of architecture. That's what we've been doing last 25 years.
Are you successful to work in a normal daily schedule? Let me say 8 or 9 hours, or you are staying longer because you need to solve problems and.
Depending on the situation, our daily time to work is from 9 to 7 and 1 hour to have lunch. No, this is 8 hours, I guess. And this is let's say the frame. Then if we have an important meeting or a presentation, everybody is doing the hours that are necessary to guarantee the quality. Yeah, it's an effort. I think that when we were younger, now we are 50. When we were 30, 35, 40, we had more energy. And we spend nights and weekends here, and I think that it's not necessary to lose the night for a competition, and it's not healthy.
And you are also teaching on a university, so let me ask you a very simple question: that what is your advice for young architects? What do you teach them?
It's not easy, but in general, for me, there is no secret to work a lot.
I asked this question also Jose Toral from Paris Toral studio. But he said that he's teaching to the students that how they should know to make a right decision, because architects, we are doing a lot of decisions on a daily basis. So for him, the very important thing was how to teach them how to make a good decision, let me say it like that.
It's a good advice for sure, and I teach with Marta in the same subject in Barcelona, and Jose is in the second year, I'm in the third with Marta. Yeah, of course. But for me, the secret is the ones that works more after, I don't know how many years, they are the best. Because usually they love architecture, they love everything around architecture, and they want to make the best decisions for the project, but it is necessary to work a lot. And we worked a lot. Now, we reduced the time that we spend here in the office, but we worked a lot of hours from 8 to 10 each day of the week. We live here and we spend nights, so probably it's not necessary, but also at school, I prefer always the students that work more.
I mean, I can imagine this approach because it is your studio, let me say it like this. But imagine, would you be able to spend this time if you would be an employee for Harquitectes or some other studio? Would you spend like from the early morning to the early evening?
Yeah, it's different, but the secret is to create the frame where everybody feels the projects as their own projects. So the first day that you arrive here, you are not the last in the queue, but you are the last person arriving here. So in front of you or around you, you have architects with 25 years of experience, of 17 years of experience, of 10 years of experience, that spent a lot of hours and part of their life creating buildings. If you want to do it, you need to feel that, well, we need to create the frame to involve the people in the projects. And of course, we need to respect them, because now young people, I think that they are not looking for the same things. They want time to live outside the office, and it's okay. It's a sign of the time. And we try to create this frame where also the young architects, 20 years older, younger than us, have responsibility in the projects. So we went to visit the construction and they help us, or we made decisions together, so they are inside. And if you have responsibility and you want to have responsibility to make these good decisions, we as founder partners are trying to create a place where everybody can grow up as architect. And it's not easy, because 22 people means 22 lives with a lot of problems outside the office. So also for us, so it's not easy to have a good equilibrium. But if you understand that it's, at least it has the same importance than a good building, to have a good team, you are in the right way to create a good office where young students, young architects, or architects with more experience can be more and more involved.
And previously we were a little bit avoiding a topic of materiality of the buildings and the projects. This is quite also significant for you, how to work with materials, how you are showing the materials, their structure, their like original structure. So could you say something a little bit more about that?
Yeah, as I said in another question, we started building small buildings in the beginning, 2000, and we learned to face, let's say, the real problems outside the school, with the clients, with the developers, with constructors, with a lot of people. And at a certain moment, just before the crisis, not after the crisis, just before the crisis, we started working with the material in a different way, trying to create spaces that are the structure, so what we call space as a structure. In the crisis, I think that it was necessary to keep only the necessary things. A lot of things involved in the idea of being very efficient on everything around a project, and also on the material. Then we started working with the structures that were also facades, inner or outside facades, that has a very specific behavior in terms of how to create comfort with materials with inertia or very light materials. I don't know. We understood that it was necessary to be very efficient, to follow the rules of each material, to create not the maximum amount of space using the less material possible, but this kind of strategies to mixing the idea of efficiency, but never forgetting that we need to create very good spaces. So I think that the the way that we use the material was very connected also in a way to create a kind of language, also in terms of aesthetics. So I think that now, or the last 15 years, we are always using the less materials possible to create the maximum things. Then also to use or to never use fake materials. If we use brick, it's brick that it's not being brick usually, or concrete as a massive structural element, or wood or whatever. We are always trying to show all of them inside and outside. If we create chimneys or buildings that are kind of chimneys, well, we follow the logics of how to create this chimney, and this becomes a facade or a roof or whatever. So each time that we find an excuse, not an excuse, but an argue of doing a kind of space, I was talking before about this big atrium that is the entrance of a house, but it's also, and porches and so on. Usually this duality of massive space, closed space, and then open space or space in between with, I don't know, a very special proportion of height or horizontal, I don't know, but a different space that is linking outside and inside through the people and activities of the people, this kind of porches or greenhouses or facades. Or now we spend a lot of time during all the process deciding how to use or which material we are going to use and how to have the assemblage on site. So yeah, we spend a lot of time on that.
And when you do reconstructions, you quite often are facing the crucial question that what to preserve and how to preserve it.
Mm-hmm. And what to add. No? So, yeah, sure, because it's like to work in a very beautiful landscape. You need to understand the potential and the way to do something there, but with a preexistence, you need not to look at the landscape to understand what do you have there and how you can use it, what it is necessary to demolish, what it is necessary to add, which is the best way to add and to mix and to create this collage effect where new and old are doing the same function, structural. It's interesting because you are doing one thing using 100 years material, but adding a new one, but using the same logic. In this case, we have brick of the 1928 year and bricks of the 2015, and they are working in the same way.
Yeah, because sometimes the Heritage Institute wants to preserve everything or almost everything, but sometimes it's counterproductive.
It is very important to understand and to know everything around the building, but it is also important to take distance at certain moment, losing a bit the respect, to make radical decisions to improve the building that is dead, a new one. So it's a balance between have respect and to be radical, to demolish part of it. And then, of course, you need to deal with the heritage architects or people, and it's not easy because they are usually looking back. So the value is the first day of the life of this building. They want to restore 100% the building as it was, and we have zero interest on that. So we prefer to keep the age of the building, 100 years old building. For us, it's a super powerful thing to be expressed. And we are not worried about the past. We are only looking to the future, no? So, but again, we need to convince them.
Right now, I'm in Barcelona for 2 months, so I would like to ask you a couple of questions about the city. Let me ask the first one. connected to example, like the urban structure, which is very specific and quite unique. This is like an identity of Barcelona, example. And but what is your opinion about how does it work? What are the positives and the negatives? Like very in a general.
Well, I don't live in Barcelona, so I don't have the experience to live in there, but I'm close to Barcelona and I'm architect. For me, the Eixample as a strategy I like it so much. So it's very interesting because you know that it's a way to link Barcelona, but all the villages around Barcelona. So it's a grid that connected Gracia and Sants and very small neighborhoods around that were separated. So the grid of Eixample connected all this big Barcelona. So it was a very good strategy. Then more in detail, the grid itself, each block, the chamfered blocks are. I like it also so much because, usually all the Eixamples and Sabadell also has a small Eixamples were squared blocks, and it's okay. It was the usual way to do Eixamples, but the chamfer creates a big space around each block, 4 times per block. So it's very special in terms of this empty space that is totally repeated in all directions of the grid, and that makes a difference in terms of urban space, street and this kind of. It's not a square because it's a cross of streets, no. So this is very special. Then, in theory, Cerdà planned to build just 2 streets for each block, only 2, not closed blocks. But at certain moment they started occupying all the ring to take advantage of, to make more money. So none of the blocks are like Cerdà planned. And it's worse, but it's more dense. It means that more people can live there, and the orientation, which is 45 degrees, it's also very smart here. It's 45 degrees from south, so you don't have north facade. It's always northeast, northwest, and then you have southeast and southwest, and then the chamfers are the difference. And then the inner block is empty, theoretically for gardens. Last 25 years, I think the municipality are trying to get more gardens inside, connected to the streets and so on, but it goes very slow, the process of making them greener. And now, for the last 5 years or something like that, they are starting doing these superillas, these super blocks, adding 9 blocks, I guess, and they are testing if it can work or not. There are good things, but still some doubts about because they have a lot of cars and it creates problems on that. But probably the strategy is to take out the cars from the city, creating parkings around. I don't know, but this is happening now. But in general, the landscape that Eixample creates, I think that it's super good. Like, it's better than Paris or other big cities in Europe. It's very special because of the proportion and the non-hierarchical streets, but sometimes you have larger streets, so it's a mixture of hierarchy and then not hierarchy. So I think that conceptually it's very powerful, but also as a city to live, I think that it's super good because there are some exceptions, like the old parts of the villages in the center of Barcelona, Raval and Gothic and so on, and Ramblas. So there are a lot of exceptions in this infinite grid that creates a very powerful spirit for a city, I guess.
When I was reading about the urban structure of Ildefonso and especially about the chamfering, the corners, I was reading that he kind of predicted, because it was made in the middle of 19th century, when there were no cars. So with chamfering the blocks, he kind of predicted that the cars will come. I don't know if it is true or not, but it works.
No, it was like that. I guess I'm not an expert, so I have a lot of expertise in doing buildings, but not in terms of urbanism. But I think that it was like that.
Okay. In 1992, there was Olympic Games in Barcelona, really big event, which changed the city in terms of public spaces. A lot of stuff was rebuilt. The whole coast was rebuilt also. So how Olympic Games and those changes affected the city?
Well, I think that it affected in two directions. On the one hand, it affects the city and it became more touristic. So I think that this phenomenon started after the Olympics, and I think that the Olympic Games put Barcelona in the world map. So everybody starts knowing Gaudí. At a certain moment, Gaudí was only well known for Japanese people. Only Japanese tourists came to Barcelona to see Gaudí's works. But after the Olympic Games, Gaudí and then the city started. It was like Paris or London or New York in a way. So a lot of tourists arrived to Barcelona, and now I think it's the biggest problem that has Barcelona today. So it's not a good place to live as it was, because there is a contradiction about the business of tourism and to live in the city. And on the other hand, in terms of in urban scale, no? What happened in Barcelona for the Olympics, I think that it was a good change, because the city arrived to the sea, to the beach, because the city grown up inside, not facing the sea. The beach was for industry and whatever, not for the people. But the Olympics, they create the Olympic Village just in front of the sea and the beach. So I think that the Olympics they changed the city in a good way.
Okay, so before we go to the rubric at the end of the episode, let me ask you one for me quite important and local question. So what would you recommend to someone who wants to visit Barcelona, but who wants to get know the Barcelona, like the really authentic Barcelona? Because a lot of tourists, they are going through the Antoni Gaudí's buildings like Casa Mia, Casa Batlló, Sagrada Familia y Parc Güell, and that's it. But this is not the authentic Barcelona. So what would you recommend to the people to get know the authentic Barcelona?
Yeah, now it's not easy, because everything is full of tourists and everybody knows the best places. For example, we have a building in Las Corts, one of the neighborhoods of Barcelona, close to the Barça stadium. It's the chimneys, the building with the chimneys. Yes. You know this building? So if you go there, just 50 meters close to this building, there's what we call Plaza Majó, which is the main square of one of these former villages around the city. And it's kept like it was, with, 2 or 3 story buildings, very low, with the church. And there are no tourists there. And so this kind of spaces inside, not the typical tourist quarters like Gracia or El Gòtic or Raval, or the Gaudí places or Passeig de Gràcia. There are some, and also in Sants, there are some squares like that are not very interesting for tourists because they are not going to take pictures of nothing in there, but they have the right scale of these former villages, and you can have a beer there facing the sun or not. And there are some places not in the center, but in these former villages around the city where you can still can rest in peace without people walking through, taking pictures and making noise. But it's not easy, because if you go there and you like it and you put it in Instagram or whatever, and you have a lot of followers, everybody will go there. And if it happens one time or two, it's enough to have this kind of pilgrims going everywhere, recommended by the. So it's not easy to keep places like that. So.
Okay, so this could be one recommendation, the small, nice square.
Yeah, and if you are architects and you want to enjoy a very good building, you need to go to close to Ciutadella Park, where the zoo is located. And there is a university there, and it has a library. And it was a former water tank. And it's a library, and it's a very special place, and I recommend always to architects. It's not touristic, because outside it's not interesting, but inside it's super powerful. And if you're an architect, you need to go there.
And it's open for the public, of course.
Yeah, because it's a public library for the students of the school. So yeah, you need to go there in silence, but it's possible, and it's not touristic. And I don't know what else. So there are still some, also the Mural Museum in Montjuïc. It's not very, very touristic, but it's a very nice building of Josep Lluís Sert, and you have good views of the city. So there are some places where the tourists are not going, but it's not easy.
I had also the interview with Mar Santa Maria, from 300,000 kilometers per net. And she said, according to their research, that Barcelona has 1.6 million people. That's normal population. But there is 30 million tourists per year. That's crazy.
I remember when I was a child, I'm from Sabadell, so it's 20 minutes by car, 30, 40 minutes by train. And I used to go to the city with my parents. And I went usually to La Ramblas and the center and Passeig de Gràcia and Parc Güell, and with the school also. And yeah, zero tourists and only the people that lives there. Yeah, for sure. Barcelona will be a touristic city. So the challenge is how to deal with that. For the people that lives in the city, and also for the tourists, so find a nice place to stay. And now it's a pity, but it's not easy to tell you where to go to enjoy the authentic Barcelona, because everything starts being a bit fake, really. So everything looks like what it is supposed to be, but not very authentic. Of course, there are still very good restaurants and very good bars, but what was interesting before is that everywhere you go, you have a very special dish or place to be, and now everything is fake.
Let's move on to the rubric, which this is the quick questions, which I usually ask to each guest. So let's start with the first one. What is the most favorite failure?
When I was a child, 16 perhaps, I really loved all the Disney pictures, Walt Disney pictures. And I spent a lot of hours drawing all the characters of the Disney movies. And yeah, I always dreamed about to be a drawer of the movies of Disney. When I ended when I ended the school, I had to decide what to study, and I like to draw, and I was good on maths and physics. And I say, yes, okay, I don't want to be an engineer because I like to draw, so I could be an architect. And I decided to be architect because of that, like my partners. So I didn't know nothing about architecture. Nothing means nothing. Nothing.
There is no failure in this story. But there is no failure in this story.
I don't know. Okay. The first competition that we won, the first competition, because we lost all the competitions except in 2003. We won 3 competitions at the same time, same summer almost. Commission 4 Square in the north of Catalonia, the Pyrenees, in a golf club. We won the main building of this golf club, and we won also a very big auditorium in Menorca, all of them at the same time. And we didn't build any one of these buildings. And for the golf club building, we spent, I think, that 2 years designing all the project. And when we were going to start building, they did an elections, and for surprise, the president lost the election because they had a kind of complot in English, I don't know. And also for the auditorium of Menorca, they had elections also, and they changed the party, and it was discarded. So we won 3 competitions in 1 year, our first 3 competitions, and none of them were developed. This is a failure. We did a lot of competitions after this failure, and again, after 5 or 6 years, we won again 3 competitions at the same time, same year, in 2009, and all of them are built.
What is the worst personal feature?
I like a lot to do things alone. This is not good. No, because, for example, in my daily life, here in the office, I'm always doing things with teams, working with a lot of people, discussing.
What is the best personal feature?
I don't know, but for example, I have a lot of doubts, but at certain moment, I have a clear idea of what do I or we need, and then I can strongly defend concepts or projects or whatever, because I can convince now, not 25 years before, but I'm ready to convince. After convincing myself, I can convince not everybody, but and all of my partners. This capacity of if we have a clear idea, we can share it, and we can convince in a positive way, not as a dictatorship, because I know that it's the best option, so it's easy for me to convince somebody for the best.
Flat or house?
House, yeah.
House?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I lived in a flat 29 years, and last 20 years I lived in a house. Well, it was a refurbishment of 2001, but now I'm refurbishing it now. Yeah. I started today.
Really?
Yeah, after 20 years. Now I have 3 kids. I'm doing, again, my house. No, I said house because if it's possible and if it makes sense in your context, it's a good way to enjoy the not nature, I mean, not the landscape, the sky and the weather and the seasons, but nature, not in a romantic way.
What is the most favorite food?
I like pasta with a lot of different ways of doing pasta, but in a lot of ways.
Let's talk about the traditional Slovak candy, kavenky versus cacao rezi, which you have tested before our episode. So please, Xavi, tell us, which one do you prefer, kavenky or
Very
cacao
easy.
rezi?
Yeah, I know it before, but I tested, and then for sure I can read cacao B.
Cacao be, rezi.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are at the end. Let me ask you the last question. The question is connected with fashion, because I'm sure you know that we, like an architect, we like to wear black clothes. And why do you think that architects wear black?
I don't know, but it's curious, because sometimes we usually have a kind of summer festival, architectural festival, and it happened twice that at the same time, same building, close to Nobel Tower, there were the Fashion Week of Barcelona and the Architects Party. And if you went to the Architects Party, everybody were in black, and the Fashion Week party, it was super glamorous, full of colors, and was I don't know, but yeah,
And do you wear black, for example?
so I prefer gray, black, or dark blue, for example, rather than red or green, but usually jeans or short like today. But I'm not, and I think that my partners are not worried about how do we dress.
There is no right answer, of course.
And
It's
mine
just
is
opinion.
very boring, I guess.
Just a little bit, but
Yeah.
sometimes this happens. But
Yeah, I'm
sometimes
sorry,
at the end,
sorry.
no, it's fine. I know that at the end someone will come up with super nice answer. So I'm not going to torture you, but if you want, you have one more try.
No, really, I don't know why. Yeah? So I'm not going to give you an interesting answer. But I think that the architects are usually copying other architects. So at certain moment, somebody decided to wear black, and they are doing the same. Architects are usually copying.
Very unique, very special. Okay, Xavi, we are at the end. Let me thank you. It was a pleasure that you found the time for me and for the podcast. And I hope the listeners will enjoy it also. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure for me too.
Gracias.
Another.
Kvalitná architektúra sa nezaobíde bez kvalitného stavebného materiálu. Všetko pre vašu stavbu a tento podcast vám prináša Wienerberger.